Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Can you all see and hear me okay? If one of you can put a message in the chat and let me know if my audio is good and if you can see me clearly, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, thank you. So you guys have been chatting it up already. I love it. I'm going to read a few of these comments before we get started. Susanna says on duty, but hopefully I can join for a while. I hope you can too, Susanna. I hope you're still on. Bright Opal says hello from Quebec. Hi, first time joining on your live channel. Love everything you do. It's so inspiring. Oh, thank you so much. She also says, are you planning to do a nativity scene display? I'm planning one with a Nazareth village, this just a little lower from my nativity scene in Bethlehem. Yes, I actually am going to be doing um, a scene for Easter this year. So after I put down my main Christmas village stuff, I will be doing an Easter village. And I will probably get started around maybe the end of January, first week of February, because this display will be much smaller than what I normally do. But my goal is to retell the story of the birth, life, and resurrection of Jesus, in my scene. So I'm hoping that I can capture all of that. So you guys will see how well I do. I just started buying materials for that this year. So I'm not sure if I even have enough at this point yet. I know that I will be making a lot of handmade pieces for that village just because there's not a lot on the market to purchase for that. Um, and I have some really cool ideas for some really authentic looking buildings and things like that that I want to play with and explore. So I'm really excited about that. So let's see, you said you don't know where to begin. The color scheme is different. I know for me, I am doing a lot of browns in my nativity, in my resurrection village this coming Easter. I've already decided on that. I will be doing a lot of creams, tans, browns, and then punching it in the color with the different fabrics and tints and different things like that. So I hope that helps you. Brandon says, OMG. Hi, Brandon. Angela says, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here. And let's see. You guys will have to forgive me. My hubby isn't here today. So I am going to be manning the comments on my own. And so I know I'm going to be a little bit slower than normal. So Lloyd, you read my comment back to you already. That's so hilarious. Lloyd and I have this thing going back and forth. No crying and villaging. Let's see. Dennis says, hello from Costa Rica. Hi, Dennis. I love that you guys are all over the world. This is so awesome. Stephanie saying good morning from Toronto, Valencia. Oh, Valencia, you did an Easter one last year too? You'll have to email me pictures if you have some. miriamsmanor@gmail.com. And let's see. Mr. Dean says, good afternoon from Alabama. Ooh, you will be doing your whole nativity yourself? Wow. I was able to find some buildings thanks to Veronica Hartman. She sent me a link because she knew that I was looking for it. And I was able to buy a 48 piece set. Now that's not 48 buildings. It came with I think 4 or 5 buildings, but it also had figurines and some animals and some trees and different things like that. So the rest I'll have to do. Hi, Robin. You made it just for a minute. Thank you so much. He says, good luck on your live stream. And we'll be watching on the big screen before his afternoon class starts. Monica says hello from North Dakota. Valencia says she made a lot of her Easter village stuff handmade, but looking forward to seeing mine. Patricia says, hello, Miriam from East Tennessee. I've been watching your videos since last year, and I very much enjoy your videos, and I've learned so much from you. Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful ideas. You guys are very welcome. It is truly my pleasure. I am thankful that I get to share this with you all and that we actually have this platform like YouTube to do so and to use it for something positive and good instead of negative. So it is definitely a blessing. Good morning, Michelle Robinson. God bless you too. Susan says, count me in from Michigan. Okay, so I'm going to pause on some of the comments just for a second because I want to toss this out there to you guys. Um, a lot of the times, what I come up with and what I do, especially for these live streams, is based upon the comments that I get or emails that I get. So I noticed I received an uptick in questions regarding like design layout. How do you design your villages every year? So this is why I decided to do the live stream for today. So if you would for me, think about while we are going through this live stream, what it is that you want to maybe cover for next month's live stream. And that way I can get it scheduled a little bit faster. I know this one was like razor sharp to make it in for October with 1 day left, and this month was crazy. So I don't want to delay in scheduling the next one for November. So if you guys could think about on the live stream today what you would like the next live stream to be about, if there's a topic that you want to discuss or something that you want me to show you that you might be struggling with, just let me know because I do this for you guys. And so whatever you tell me it is that you want or need is what I try to do. So with that being said, I'll take a few more. I'll try to find where I am in these comments. Jane Doe says, Miriam, thanks for sharing your wonderful ideas. You are amazing. Thanks, Jane Doe. Okay. I know that I'm probably going to pronounce your name wrong, and I'm so very sorry. But I see your comments all the time. And is it Varoj? You have a very interesting name. I would love to actually know how to say it. If you could like type in the comments with the pronunciation, that would be fantastic. But anyways, he says, hi, Miriam, your vineyard display turned out so beautiful. Thank you. Naricedas Hall says, hello, Miriam from New York, Long Island. Hello. Patricia says, I did an Easter village this year and a Halloween village as well. You have been busy, but not on the scale of my Christmas village, but still lots of fun. Isabella says, hi from the Netherlands. Veronica says, thank you. Been getting a lot of ideas from your videos. Brandy, hello, Brandy. You decided to speak up again. Hi. She says, good morning, all. Nareda says, I made your zoo, ski mountain, and the mountain. Wow, you have been really busy. It came out beautiful. Thank you for all your help. I would love to see them. Please, please, please send me pictures. Patricia Gray says, my 83-year-old mother was watching your videos the other morning. That's awesome. Veronica Valencia says, I actually wanted to know how would I do an iced lake or a frozen lake. So the iced pond would be the exact same way almost that you do a regular lake. The difference is your paint that you put on initially in the base of your lake, you want to make that darker, definitely more like murky. And I would suggest like the darker gray that I actually mixed for my lake in my vineyard that I just completed. That is a really good color to mix if you do not want to buy a pre-mixed color. If you don't want to fool with trying to do this yourself, Woodland Scenics does have a color that you can buy pre-mixed that is perfect for like iced ponds or skating rinks and things like that. So start with the darker base, pour the realistic water on clear, just like you normally would. And then once you go to put your second layer on, you're going to swirl it with a little bit of white. Either you can do this with white paint, or again, Realist Woodland Scenics has a product that is specifically designed for ice ponds. So you're going to pour the clear liquid onto the already hardened first level, and then you're going to pour in the white on top of that in swirls. Take like a toothpick or something fine, or a fine toothbrush actually would probably be better, and make different marks or pattern on the top to make it look like it's more frozen in some areas than not. I do have, if you email me, miriamsmanor@gmail.com, I do have a video that I like to send out. It's directly from Woodland Scenics with them using their products, showing you actually how to do this. I have not done a tutorial on this yet, and theirs is the best that I have seen that is out there. So if you send me an email and remind me of that, I'll respond back to you with that link so that you can see it step by step how to do it. Okay, let's see where we're at. Margaret says hello from Florida. Lauren says good morning. My two boys, Mark and Joy, say hello. Hi, Mark and Joy. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Let's see. Joey says go Irish. Yes, go Irish. That's where my hubby is today, actually. He's at the Notre Dame game. Let's see. Mr. Mojo says, love your vineyard video. Awesome work and very creative. Thank you very much. Sally says, I'm loving your videos, making trees at the moment. Awesome. I need some trees. Pero que rayos, Brandon? I don't know what rayos means. Let's see. Michelle Robinson says, a friend gave me a piece of plywood and my husband got me some horses so I can start putting my Christmas village up. Yes, that is fantastic. So let me back up for a minute here. Someone said something that made me think of something I wanted to tell you guys, and now I can't remember that fast. Okay, so far as design layout, we've had a lot of questions lately on design layout. How do I come up with my villages? So one of the things that I always do first is I decide how I want to set up my tables. I will do either an L shape, a U shape, a square. And do I want that square to be in the middle of the room or pushed back up against the wall or pushed up against two walls? All of those things are going to factor into how I decide my overall layout. So that's one of the first things that I decide when I am planning a new layout is my table setup. Again, and the shape of the table. If you're working with the same table base setup that you normally do, and you think you might want to try something different, just keep the same setup and place it in a different way or up against a different wall to give a different effect. Like this year, if you guys can see behind me, this table here is going to go directly pushed back up against the wall once I'm done setting up this village. So it'll still be walkable on three sides. So I still have to make all three sides visually interesting, and not just from the front. So it really just depends on how you are setting up your tables and the look that you want to achieve. So the first thing is table setup. From there, I go to inventory. I always check my inventory to see what I have, how do I want these things to be laid out? And actually, even before that, I decide my village pieces. Um, I always ask myself, am I going to build a new piece for the next year's village? Am I going to reuse some existing pieces? So I try to get, once I know how I want my table set up, I try to get like kind of an overall look in my head of how I want this set up and then kind of work it backwards. So then I need to decide, do I want to build a new base, a platform to complete this village? Do I have pieces that I can already reuse that would fit within the village scheme and the table setup that I am trying to create? If I need to create new pieces, then I will, with my tables set up, and let me back up a minute here because this is actually, for those of you who this might be your first year villaging, um, this might not help you. For some of you who've been villaging for a while, um, you can understand this a little bit better maybe. Before I take down my village, for example, for this year's village, before I dismantle this entire thing, I'm already going to figure out my layout that I want to do. I will look while I have all my pieces out. I kind of will rearrange some things and see how I want to set that up on the new table layout that I'm going to be doing. So that really helps when you have all your pieces out already, that you can just kind of play with them when you know you're getting ready to take your village down. And before you really start putting everything away, just rearrange some things really fast to get a quick image in your head and then taking a picture of it. And then I also save that picture and I pack it away with my Christmas village stuff. But if you're just getting started this year, then go with the process that I started with. Figure out your table layout, figure out what pieces you want to build first. And like if you're going to build a big chunky mountain, you need to make sure you have enough square footage for that and that you make accommodations for that larger piece. So that can definitely take away from some of your other areas in your village. So once you figure out what you want to build, then I would go to figuring out what scenes you want in your village next. So, and this kind of ties in with take inventory of what you have. Do you have enough buildings to do a complete neighborhood? Do you have enough buildings to do a town square or like a little business district? Do you have enough accessories to do a playground, a school, a church, um, like a downtown, even like courthouse in town square area, um, carnival or a ski mountain, or all of these different things that you can, these are all scenes that you can add to your village. And so take inventory to see and group your things together by scene and figure out, okay, I have 3 houses, but maybe I want 5 in my neighborhood. So then you also can focus on what you need to buy for the rest of the year. Okay, I need 2 more houses and a few more accessories to complete this whole scene for my neighborhood scene. And then go from there. So that is my process that I go through. And I wrote myself some notes here so that I don't forget to tell you guys anything. So forgive me if I'm looking down because I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. Oh, if you're adding levels when you're designing your um, village, if you want to add levels, that should be done while you're taking your inventory, while you're figuring out what you want to build. In between there, so you're going to figure out your table layout design, figure out your big pieces that you want to add, and then figure out your levels that you want in your village, and then take inventory for your scenes. Um, that is kind of how I break all of this down to figure out how I am going to redesign my villages. Because I've told you guys before, I've never actually recreated the same village twice. My villages are different every single year. It is a lot more work to do it that way because I have to come up with something new. But for me, that's the fun of it. That's where I get to pull out every little ounce of creativity in my brain and see what I can do with it for the year. So it always ends up being a lot of fun. If you are trying to figure out your layout and you don't want to pull all your buildings out yet because it's right before Thanksgiving, you might be having company, you don't want the big mess everywhere. If you do like paper cutouts of trace your buildings on a piece of paper, cut out that base and keep those every year. That way, when you play with your table setup, you can put each building and put a little description of what that building is. Then you have the shape of it on the table that you're using, your table base. And it will allow you to make sure that you have your spacing, that you're allowing for appropriate spacing and also the size of the buildings. The only thing, if you're not going to pull out your actual buildings, that I would say to be mindful of is maybe on that sheet of paper, also add the height of that particular building. And that way you'll know I can't stick this one in front of this one because this building is actually taller than this one and it would block it and it wouldn't be visible. So that's a really great way because you can even do that on your floor without pulling out your tables, without pulling out all your Christmas village stuff yet. If you're not ready, you can kind of tape off a little section on your floor that's the size of your actual table and pull out your little papers with that represent your village buildings and lay those out. You could also use household things like books while you're playing with your table setup. That way, this isn't something that you have to go through your closets and pull everything out first. You can play with it in that sense and get an overall idea of how you want to get it all set up and use books for like different height and levels. And if you want to put a level or two levels in, you can use maybe styrofoam pieces you have laying around, books, pillows, like whatever you have to make it work, and then you can play with it that way to see about how to lay out your village. Um, let's see. Now, the other question that I was seeing kind of frequently is how do I hide my cords? Um, we all have different setups that we're using. We all have different table setups. You guys know, a lot of you know at this point, I use a plywood sheet that you can actually see it here with the sawhorses underneath right here, a plywood. So I can drill my holes directly down and then put my styrofoam on top of that and drill my hole, carve out a hole, right? So that I could just drop my cords through. This year, I didn't drop my cords exactly where my holes were already preset because I wanted to be able to show you guys, for those of you who might be using a card table that you don't want to drill into, or you might be using a kitchen island or a sofa table, a foyer table. One of you emailed me the other day and you're actually putting your village on your piano, which I thought was so awesome. Um, that's why I wanted to show you how you can carve out tunnels onto your styrofoam. So if you just always plan to use a piece of styrofoam, a large piece of solid styrofoam as your base, you can carve little tunnels for your cords and have a perfectly seamless look still in your village, without cords being visible. And then you just run those cords to the back of the table or to the side of the table, wherever it reaches your outlet, the closest. And um, you can do it that way if you're even using like your kitchen counter or something like that, and just run it off to the side wherever that plug is. So there's lots of ways to still go about hiding your cords with different materials. Now, one thing that I mentioned on a couple of videos ago, for those of you who weren't able to hear, crates or pallets, whichever word you want to use to call them, those are a great way to set up your Christmas village because the slats are already in them. And if you use those to set up your village, then you're just dropping your cords through those slats. And wherever you need a solid foundation, just put a piece of cardboard. Most of us get packages that we can cut, the pieces of cardboard to size how we need them. And then you can even just cut a hole in the cardboard wherever you need for your cord placement. So if you can get your hands on some pallets, um, that's another great way to do a Christmas village setup if you don't have already a proper table. Um, Another one of the questions that I got asked a couple of times is, if my table is deep, how do I set up my village on such a deep setup? So you guys, you probably can't see behind me, but these tables go back, and this is actually 8 feet deep. Now, what I always have done in the past is start from the back and move my way forward. So when I keep these two tables together like this, I split them apart and I work from the back. Once I finish that complete back table, then uh, I don't even push it together yet at that point. Then I just turn around and get between the two tables and work on the one in the front. That way I can get everything in the back of the front table that I need up to the front. And then once everything is set, I push the two tables together very carefully and be careful not to knock anything over, which is why a lot of the times I do use hot glue or like a Zot just to kind of secure things down a little bit. But I will then push the two tables together. This year, I'm working from the front backwards because I am a little bit anal with certain things. And I wanted to make sure, because my focus this year in my layout design was levels. I wanted to play with a lot of different heights in that variation in my village this year. So I wanted to make sure that each level was appropriately spaced, even after I add the trees, because you do have to take your trees into consideration. You can see behind me here on this side with these two trees I made here, they're much taller than the buildings that are there. So I have to take that into consideration, even when I am figuring out what the next height needs to be behind that particular piece. So um, I wanted it to be kind of like this gradual incline going up. I didn't want it to be like one level here and then completely up here for the next level and just build it and make it work. I really wanted there to be a smooth transition going up where your eye just kind of naturally flows up and doesn't do like this, but just goes like this up the slope of the village. So it's going to be interesting for me to try to build this and make sure that I am not knocking things over as I'm going along. But I still am sticking to a lot of the same concepts so far. Like my tables right now, there's a split between both tables right now, and I get between them. Now, once I set my neighborhood behind my town square, I'm no longer going to be able to do that because the neighborhood is going to sit between both tables. So I will probably be climbing on the back of my table a little bit to get to to get to certain pieces. I will still show you guys that whole setup. So if I have to climb on a table, you can see me climb on my table and laugh at me. And then, but I'll definitely figure out a way to get it done. So I think I have covered a lot of the questions that I have received. I'm going to go back to the comments now and take your guys's see the rest of your comments and take your questions. If you guys have any other design layout questions, definitely add those now to the comment section. And give me a minute because I'm trying to see where I left off. Okay. Oh, Baruch said I was pretty close. Okay, good. The R is slightly rolled. Varouche, like that. The J is like a French J. Oh, I didn't learn French. Okay, so Mr. Mojo says, love your vineyard. I think I read that one already. Michelle says, your grapevines are so live looking. Oh, thanks. And when I saw Villages of All Season, I saw her vineyard setup that she did earlier this year. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make those. I'm sure I have everything I need. I'm whatever I have in my house is what I am making these out of. But I was so determined to make them like that day that I just started digging out everything. And I had simple things that those things cost nothing to make. I just made them out of a lot of scrap. Janita says, oh, that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see your resurrection village. Thank you. Panda says, hi. And Varouche says, will you be doing this Christmas village contest at Millie's? What is Millie's? We're just doing it online. So you can submit your videos to me to my email. I did put out in several videos the contest rules, but that was before I did a video on the contest itself. But since then, Robin Wright actually made me beautiful flyers that for each individual category that goes over every the rules and how to enter. And I have been adding those at the end of some of my videos. So what I was thinking about doing is making a new video. If that will be helpful for you guys, let me know, with just those the rules on the actual sheet. So that way when you pull up the video, you can just pause it and read the screen and make sure that you are able to view how to enter and all of the rules. And it's a $50 cash prize for each category. We were going to do just gift cards. I know that there were some folks that were out of the country that wanted to enter, which I was going to just do a Visa gift card, but then I was told that that Visa gift card might not work in another country. So I haven't figured out what to do about that yet. For those of you who are not in the United States who want to enter, I am definitely open to suggestions. If any of you know of a better way or an alternative solution that would solve that problem, I would greatly appreciate your feedback. Mr. Dean says, did you put your train track on plywood or can you put it on the foam? No, I actually always put it on the foam because I do use foam as the base of each of my villages so that I can stick my trees into it, because I do take the bases off of my trees and stick them directly into the foam. That way it gives a more natural look and you don't see the base. And then I don't have to worry about always covering up the little white plastic base. Monica says, since I am creating scenes now instead of just laying out the village, I'm finding myself using less of my houses. Just wondering if you have come across this problem. I have not, only because I didn't have a lot of houses to begin with. I think I even to this day, I think I only have 7 houses. Um, and I always do a neighborhood in my village, and I use at least 5 houses in my neighborhood every year with the way that I set them up. Sometime one year, I think I used all 7. Um, but I do not ever stress about trying to use all of my buildings. I never display every village piece that I have in my villages. I pick the pieces that I want to use that year that make the most sense for that year's village. And I also, because my kids have villages in their rooms, so they do get overflow from older buildings that I might have had or buildings that I'm just not using for the year. Allow them to use in their villages. So, and if they don't have the room for it either, I just keep it packed up with the rest of my village stuff and say, see you next year. So, for me, I never had that as a problem just because I never had a ton of houses anyway. But if you have houses that you absolutely love because you just love seeing them in the architecture and it puts a smile on your face, I would recommend maybe doing like a two-tier neighborhood, and that way you can fit all your houses in that you want if you're limited on space where you can't fit them all out together. Or separate your neighborhoods and have two different neighborhoods in your village. If you guys look at my mom's village video that I shot last year, it's on my channel. It's Eve's Point. I think it says like Christmas Village video Eve's Point, something like that. You'll be able to find it in the playlist, especially if you're looking for Eve's Point. She had two different neighborhoods in her village. So she had a neighborhood on this side, her town square kind of marketplace in the center, a plaza behind it, and then a neighborhood again on the opposite end, which is still typical when you're looking at a city layout. You have neighborhoods all the time surrounding your eateries and downtowns and things like that. So that's another solution if you feel like you're not able to. If you have more houses, just make a few different neighborhoods. And I know my mom, she did one that was like more exclusive. So she put her nicer houses in one community that was a gated community. And then her other houses, she just had out in a neighborhood. All of them were very nice. But she made one neighborhood just a little bit more exclusive than the other. So maybe that will help you with that issue that you're having there. Eve says, good morning. Sorry, I'm late. Just finished my morning routine. Good morning, Mama. Eve is my mother, you guys. When you see that Eve. Monica says, no room for ski slope this year. Wow. I feel you on that because I'm not using that big mountain that I made last year. And again, it'll probably get used next year. I'm not even going to concern myself about it. It'll have other plans down the line. Um, One of the things that I had planned on this year was my zoo. I made it earlier this year to go in this year's village. But during that time, I had my village planned out all last year. But during that time, I ended up getting, I am a Limax influencer, and they sent me a bunch of product for a carnival, which I wasn't expecting, which I've always wanted to do. And I just love their pieces. And so adding this big carnival kind of changed the game. And then Robin sent me an automated ski slope, another piece that I had been wanting even more than my zoo. So, with those two scenes added to my village, I might not be able to use my zoo this year that I specifically made to go in this year's village. And if I don't, it's okay. I'll use it next year in a different design layout. But so don't be too disappointed, Monica. I see like your little frowny face. Um, that's the fun of it. See what you can create and how you can use it next year. Or you can always set up an individual scene in another area of your house with just your ski slope. Like on your entryway table, if you wanted to set up your ski slope just there and have that cute little Christmas touch there, and then put other Christmas decor around it, and it's still awesome. Then you still get to use it. Just a thought. So Michelle Robinson says, at my doctor's office, they have scenery, they watch your videos, and they have your ski mountain. That's awesome. I showed them your videos and they love you. Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you. Tell your doctor's office. Thank you very much for watching. Angela Green says, I do the best I can with layout because I'm working with limited space. Told my husband I need a bigger house for Christmas. That is awesome. You're like the third person who has actually said that to me this week, like in the last couple of days. That is so hilarious to me. Ronnie says, same here. See, everybody wants a bigger house for a bigger village display. Um, and also, again, you guys, there was who was it last year? Oh, I always remembered his name. What is his name? I can't believe I'm having a brain fart right now. He sent me his villages last year. He did 3 small setups in different rooms of his house, and it was fantastic. He had one like on a windowsill. He had a little bit of an extended windowsill, and he had buildings like a Dutch style village on the windowsill. Then he did more of like a carnival scene in his bedroom, and his other village was, I think, just on like a smaller little regular table that may have been like a 2 by 2. So even working with limited space, if you have more items, you can always just set up smaller ones throughout your home. And then you get a little bit of Christmas village all throughout the house. And who could not want that, right? So let's see. Brandy says, connecting levels is what I am struggling with right now. I don't know, Brandy, if you saw my video on how to just create like quick little slopes out of cardboard. That is a super easy way to connect different levels, um, to tie them all together to make them all look like one piece. When you're working with one level, and if you haven't made the other level yet, make provision for to receive somewhere on that platform to receive the slope where people would kind of naturally come down from there. Um, and using cardboard is a great way. You can also use styrofoam to make a quick little slope. Um, you can also even take the road. Where do I have some? I thought I just had some somewhere over here next to me. I don't have it, but you guys know the little road that we put down that you can buy from like Michael's and Walmart. They have like the brick road or the little cobblestone road. You can even use that. And if you fit it tightly to where you pin it into each connecting point at the base, you can use that as a connecting piece to tie both pieces together. So if that's what you mean, Brandy, let me know if that helped. If not, if you're referring to something else, then leave me another like more detailed comment. Lloyd says, good morning, Eve. Happy to have you here with us. Ronnie says, in my mind, I have a grand idea, but then look at my space. Ugh. Ronnie, go up, level up, because you can put a lot on one space if you use different levels and different heights. Don't be afraid to use height in your villages, even in a small space. You can truly make it work. Monica says, Brandy Burley, I connected most of my levels okay, except my fire station. So if there's a fire in my village, it's burning down. That's hilarious, Monica. Uh, And that's the other thing too. As you continue to do this, you'll learn every single year. Just like Monica is saying, she wasn't able to connect one building. Now, in the greater scheme of things, when most people are coming in looking at your villages, they're never going to notice that. They're only going to notice if you point it out. Us villagers who built these things, these are the things that go through our mind, like, how do I piece all of this together? But that's not to say that your village isn't going to be amazing if something doesn't end up connecting with another one. There are so many people who never even try to connect their pieces, their base. Stuff will float everywhere sometimes, and the village still is beautiful. So, we definitely, I think our group, we definitely have a mind of trying to get as realistic as we can possibly get. And we're really kind of planning out little cities. But at the end of the day, if you're struggling with something that you just can't end up putting together, no one's going to notice and no one will be the wiser. So just make it look as good as you can, and I'm sure it'll be fine. Michelle says, if I ever win the lottery, I would send you money for the supplies to make for people and buy bigger houses for Christmas Village people. That's awesome. Janice says, hello, Miriam. It's a pleasure to join your chat for the first time. I have acquired many pieces over the years. I was looking for display ideas. Thank you for your suggestions. God bless you and your family. Thank you so much, and God bless you too. I hope that those suggestions definitely helped you guys in figuring all of this out. And Mama says hi to Janice. Julie Jr. says hi, everyone. So I wanted to also show you guys something that my mama did, which actually, Monica, was it you who sent me the pictures of your planters that you did with the flowers recently? I'm trying to remember who sent me that. But um, my mom made this planter. Isn't this so cute? And look at the inside of it. My hair is on it. Okay, there we go. So she used styrofoam to make this, real rocks, and then ordered these like village sized trees off of Amazon, and then the little greenery also that she added in here. This is just styrofoam on the inside that she painted brown, but she roughed it up to make it look like pebbles and dirt and natural soil. It looks fantastic. I absolutely love these. And they were so simple to make. Well, I don't know if most of you have like rocks and gravel where you're from. That's what we have a lot in our front yards and backyards here in the desert. So we just go pick rocks out of our yard and do stuff like this. So a lot of the things that you guys have seen me use natural stone on, like the big mountain that I made, I literally just took some quarter minus out of my backyard that I had to do that walk path. I'm always looking for like free ways to put together this village stuff. But I just love this. This is so cute. Now, for those of you guys who want a tutorial on this, my mother did supply me with the same block of foam that she used to make this. So I will be doing a tutorial to show you guys how to make this, because I just think that this is so super cute and I love it. And I have to have one somewhere in my village. When one of my other subscribers had also sent me a picture about a month ago, and she did something very similar, but a smaller, a shorter um, planter, and put flowers all in it. And it was so cute. So these are just some of the cute little creative ideas that we can all share and incorporate into our villages that don't cost a whole lot of money at all. And these things are so small. You can use like one of your scrap pieces of styrofoam that you didn't know what to do with. Make a planter. Okay, so let me get back to where we left off in the comments. Let's see. Sorry, guys, I have to find out where I left off. Okay, so Bright Opal says, I had to step away, so I don't know if you already talked about it, but the space available to me is only 50 inches wide, so I'll build vertically. Any tips? Yes. If you guys, I have a video out that is actually, I started it on the live stream that I did. It's titled, the live stream is titled Christmas Village Forum, Aaliyah's Christmas Village, my daughter. On that build, her table base is only is a 4 by 4, so 48 inches by 48 inches. So it's a little bit smaller than your 50-inch. And you can see what I did in that to level up. And I also ended up making a train where we could fit in her train, and half of it was hidden underneath the platforms that I added for height, but the other half of the train was visible towards the front where there was still room for buildings on the main level. So I added 2 levels, but essentially she had 3 levels on her base to go vertical. Now, let me think. I did finish that build because I started it on the live stream, but I did a video and I finished it. And it was like Aaliyah's Christmas Village Build Part 2, I think is what the second video is titled that I finished it on. But if you go to my playlist for my Christmas Village playlist, it is one of the more recent ones. It's definitely, I think, within the last 10 that I posted. And just go to that one and you can see how to level up with that size. Isabella says, I don't have a lot of space to put a Christmas village. I only have some narrow shelves. Do you have any tips? Yes. So I actually, you guys, the very first village that I ever did, me and my mom did it on her staircase banister that was only 10 inches wide. We made sure to get narrow buildings because a lot of these buildings, including the base, are only like 6 inches deep. So, with that being said, it's not like you can put a whole lot in front of it, but we got roads that we cut in half because at that time we really just did like neighborhoods. So, she had this long banister and we put the little neighborhood houses. We were able to get a cut, slimmed down road with street lights in front of each house and the houses in front of it, and trees on either side between the houses. So we didn't have a lot of space for like yards and things like that, but it was so cute. And it was just a creative way to use the space to add a little Christmas decor to that area. So you don't need a lot of space to put a village together. You just have to be creative with the space that you're working with. So if you have like that windowsill, if you are also handy and if you don't have furniture right in front of that windowsill, build another ledge. Just get some like an MDF strip with like a 2 by 4 base that you can zip really quickly together and make it the height of the windowsill and give yourself like maybe an extra 6 inches or so. And that will add to your village dramatically without eating up a lot of space inside of your room. So if you could make that work, that would be another great way. I did that on my mantle when I had my village on my mantle like 4 years ago. Um, my husband built me an extension just off of one side so that it would be wide enough to fit my train. And the way that I blended it together with the snow, you would never tell that it wasn't actually a part of that same table base. So, um, if you know someone or if you're handle yourself that can do that for you, that's definitely another great option to make that work. Lloyd says, I won't even tell you how many times I had to climb all over my table. I'm glad I won't be the only one, Lloyd. A bright opal says, I don't want it to look like houses placed on shelves like I see oftentimes. And it won't look like houses on shelves if you do a good job with adding a skirt around your table, as well as adding more accessories. Add a lot of smaller accessories that will draw your eye to just that, the village being the focal and not necessarily the space. And also, the more littler things you can kind of squeeze in, it does make the space look more full and bigger, even working with tiny, small little spaces. Um, and even do this for those of you might who are working with the smaller spaces, where you find this is a challenge. Take two buildings, snow, trees, figurines. Put them on your kitchen counter and create a scene just right there on your kitchen counter. Play with it in a space that's easy for you to get to. And that way you can see, you know what? This is a tiny little space that I just worked with and I created this cute little scene. And then put it in the space where you were planning on putting it. I love to use Donna Rowe as an example because if you guys look at the video that I did last year on it was the subscriber tribute video. She had two buildings and a small table, and it was so cute. She had some trees, a few figurines, and she had two buildings, or not even, she had one building and a Ferris wheel. And she put this cute scene together without it having to take up a lot of space. And it was so beautifully done. So when you look at things like of this size, you don't always have to have it this size. My first few villages weren't. They were very small and I loved them. They were still beautiful. And the key is to focus on that scene and not just the few little buildings it has. Beef up that scene and that way it doesn't look like a dinky little uh windowsill village or side table village. It'll look full and complete. Let's see. Janice says, is there any place you can recommend that used village pieces at a reduced price? Offer Up usually has reduced village pieces prices. You guys, I say this all the time. Goodwill. Go to your local Goodwills. Go in July for Christmas in July because Goodwill actually observes Christmas in July. If you didn't know, you're welcome. And there are always Christmas Village buildings there that you can find for sale. Also, Facebook Marketplace and Offer Up both have a pretty healthy Christmas Village community that sell items on there all the time. Um, I know that like Michelle and Robin were both telling me before they're in the Maryland area that they have shows like train shows and um, things like that where people actually set up booths and sell their villages stuff there. So you might want to look into that where you're located to see if your city offers something like that too. Um, And also people who are selling stuff on Offer Up, if you don't necessarily want to buy, ask if they'll trade. Send them a picture of what it is that you have and see if they're wanting to make a trade for something that you have. And not only that, but even just in the village community, if you know someone else who also villages, I've done that before. I've traded buildings with friends where it's like, "Oh, I don't think I really wanna use this piece anymore," but my girlfriend, with the style that this building was, she loved it, so we just traded buildings for something that fit my village at the time a little bit better. So, that's always definitely an option. To buy new, the best prices that I've seen, are eHobby for, like, the Limax products. They are hands down the cheapest that I have seen anywhere, and it's ehobbytools with an S.com. Okay. Monica says a new rules video would be great. Okay, thank you. Yes, rules video would be great. Ronnie says great. Well, I'll get that put out in the next week for you guys. Then that way you'll have that information. So Roly says, where are you placing the vineyard? It actually is in place right now where it's going. It's behind this section of my business district on this side. I love this piece, but again, I was telling you, my village will be visible from all three sides. So I wanted that to be the surprise piece when you round the corner. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect to see this back here. I love doing stuff like that. Even if I have something that's my favorite, I don't necessarily like put it out front all the time. I love putting like little hidden gems of things, of little scenes in my villages that when you round a corner or you go back a little bit further, you can find another like, oh my God, and this is back here too. This is so cute. So it's actually when you go around this way on this side, it will face the front. And again, that's my thing where it's like I don't want everything facing this way and then nothing is facing the side. I like to place things at different angles in my village so that way um, it adds more interest. And I just think it's also a little bit more realistic when you're looking at a city on a grid. There's never buildings that just face only one direction. So I do like to face my buildings in all different directions, as well as my scenes sometimes in different directions. But I also make sure that even if it's on the side like this is, that side is still going to look really good from the front. So I always make sure to sure that all sides of that particular piece, there's something nice to look at. Kashak says, hello, everyone. Late today, but here. Thank God. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Um, Bright Opal says PayPal. Was that for the out of country folks? That's actually a really good idea. I never used PayPal, so I wouldn't have even thought of that. That's actually a really good idea because most people do have PayPal. Angela says, I alternate buildings because I just have too many. That's why I'm on my husband. That is hilarious. I can definitely relate with that. My mom says, "Ah, thanks, my lovely daughter. You're welcome, mama." Angela says, I also set up different scenes on other tables spread out around the house. Yes. Sandy says, hello from Canada. Love your videos. Thanks, Sandy. Michelle Robinson says, I'm so happy to learn from a wonderful person. You are a beautiful Christian person. Thank you, Michelle. That's so sweet. Angela says, please tell me where to get the automated ski lift. Cannot find it. There is a store that sells that Jagerndorfer in Nevada. It's in Nevada and they will ship anywhere. If you email me and remind me, I will email you the link where you can get that ski lift. Send me an email to miriamsmanor@gmail.com and I'll send that out to you. Rolly says, we now know where used up creativity from, where I got my creativity from. Yes, definitely my mother. So you guys, I want to share this story with you because every year, the year before, I actually plan out my theme, also what I'm going to decorate with in my house with. So this year I am doing white and gold with purple. because the year that I fell in love with Christmas, I was 10 years old. My mother bought these purple and gold ornaments, and they were absolutely stunning glass ornaments. And it was the first Christmas that she did up like really big. And I absolutely fell in love with Christmas from a child, seeing all those decorations and just how beautiful they were. Well, she ended up selling them at a yard sale one year, and my aunt actually got there first and bought up most of these decorations before I got there. So by the time I got there, there was only a few of them left, and I was like, "Mom." She didn't know, I never told her, my fault, but I was like, "You sold my childhood Christmas decorations." So I bought the rest of what was there, and I still have them to this day. I was 19 years old when I bought those, and I'm only 25 today. Just kidding. Um, I was 19 years old at the time when I bought them, and I still have them to this day. And I've done them over the years, but it's been about, I think, 10 years since I've pulled them out. So this year, I'm doing an old school Christmas. I'm taking it back and I am doing the purple and gold and I'm adding white to it this year. So I'm so excited because, yes, I absolutely did get my love for decorating and creativity and things like that from my mother because she's very good at it. And it's definitely something that I picked up just as a child, watching how she would put things together. And then as an adult now, I just putting my own twist on it after all these years. And Angela says, "Your mom is very talented. That would look good in your nativity scene." Right? I know. I have to make them. So, mom, once your Christmas village is down, I might need to borrow your so I can have some extra ones. Mom says, "No worries, sweetie. I will make you one. And thanks for so much for the compliments." Christine says, "Thank you for sharing your talent. It's inspired me to learn and make my own platforms for the first time. Before I just used books and styro covered with the cloth." That's how I did the first setup that we did after the stairs. That's exactly what I did. I used a bunch of books and styrofoam and covered it with the blanket snow. And it was still beautiful. It came out really nice, but this just adds another realistic element to it. But you're very welcome. Bright Opal says, "Thank you. I will look it up." Okay. And let's see. Margaret says, "Any ideas for a 24-inch, let's go back up, by 60-inch area?" 24 inches, 2 feet is actually pretty deep to put a good size village on. I would definitely do like a 2-tier setup with that. And depending on what your upper level is, if you still wanted to add more height, you can definitely do. I don't know if you've seen people create like just the peaks of the mountains with a flat sheet of styrofoam in the back. You can also add those to your very back level to add even more additional height, and then just have your one level in the front. Also, do I have a pencil here? Darn it, I don't. I was going to draw something so I can show you. I just had an idea pop in my mind. But if you are tearing a level, and let's say this is the 2 feet, do 12 inches in here. What you can do is like bring that around to the front and have that top level come down in a curve towards the front and have like a curved walk path on both sides going up. Does this make sense? It's in my head perfectly. I don't know if I'm explaining it good enough. But curve your walk path in going up. And that way, everything that's in the center of that kind of gets like tucked in and nestled and looks so cute. And like that would be like a cute little space for a town square with kind of some businesses around it. And then maybe going up could be your neighborhood. And you kind of curve and have access points off of both ends of the table. I hope that makes sense. Bright Opal says, "Thank you so much. You gave me great ideas and many tools. I feel confident now to get started." Good. And you're very welcome. Angela says, I also found American sales and they were a little cheaper than eHobby Tools. Ooh, American sales. I will have to look them up. I actually have not heard of them. Michelle says, keeping Copeland. Miriam has a video on how to do that. Oh, you must have said a comment I didn't see. Oh, here it's right above it. Hello, everyone. Any updated tips on painting your figurines different skin tones? Yes, I do have a video on that. It was one of the first ones I did a long time ago, on how to create different skin tones. So go to my playlist and it'll be, I think, probably my fourth or fifth Christmas Village video that I did on creating diversity, adding diversity to your village. I actually am going to be doing another one soon. I do have tons of figurines that I need to get painted, and I have had a few requests of people wanting to see me do a woman and how I do the eyes and the lipstick. So I will be doing another video hopefully this Christmas season for you guys, for those of you who want to see that, because I do have several figurines to actually get painted. So hopefully I can squeeze that in this year for you guys. Let's see. Damaris says, "Hi, I'm glad I found you looking for Christmas Village ideas. You're amazing. Thank you very much." Twinkie G says, "Hi, how are you? I am very well, thank you. I hope you are doing well." Um, Mom says, "Had I known how much the purple and gold Christmas affected you, I would have saved all of it for you. You know, whatever I have is yours." I know, Mama. I know you would have saved me. And you know what? That was my fault for never saying anything all those years, but I did love it very much. Clara says, I'm late, but glad I made it. Good afternoon, everyone." Christine says, "I don't have much space in my house, so I placed my village on top of my upright piano. I made two tiers so that the back part would be seen." Yes. And I bet that is so beautiful. And especially around Christmas time when you're playing Christmas carols and everybody's around the piano singing and your village is right there on display. I just think that would be so pretty. Let's see. As you guys like leave comments, it moves the comment bar up. So I'm trying to see again where I left off. Lauren says, "Can you use plaster of Paris on a styrofoam mountain without using plaster strips first?" Yes, you absolutely can. I have found that it will like flake off rather easily. The plaster of Paris, if you do apply that layer, I do have to say you want to be very careful with handling the piece because it does still chip underneath still kind of easily. And I notice if you don't have that initial layer of plaster on first, it does chip really easily. I've done it both ways and I've tried it both ways to see just how durable it will be. And to me, there's more durability adding the plaster strips first and then adding the plaster of Paris on top of that, which is why I decided to do it that way. Um, the good thing is typically if you chip a little piece of it off, it's just recovering it with whatever paint you used at that point. But if you are handling your pieces carefully and you have designated areas to store those pieces to where it's not going to be bumped with a lot of other items, or if you can put it in a box or something like that, I would say, yeah, definitely go ahead and do it that way. But if you have a lot of people handling your Christmas decorations, um, and they might not be as careful as you, I would say maybe reconsider doing just the plaster of Paris. Varush says, "I know this is late, but I was asking about the Christmas Village contest Millie's Hallmark puts on in Tempe every year. I didn't know if you were going to enter." I did not know about that. So you should send me some info on that. I didn't know they did that in Tempe. I never make it out to the East Valley. I remember we were talking on Instagram and you told me you were in Phoenix and about your Arizona Science Center. That's what we were talking about. But yeah, I rarely make it. I only go out to the East Valley for work. That's it. Twinkie G says, I love how your trees look in your villages. Oh, thank you so much. Variety is the key, using a lot of different types of trees. Clara says, thank you, Miss Eve. How do you do your stairs? I can't seem to get mine right. I have several videos that I've done stairs in, but I wanted to do a video this year where I strictly just do a stairs video because there are a couple of different ways that I do my stairs, and it depends on what type of platform I'm building, honestly. Um, I just really try to keep my hot knife as straight as I can. And if I make like a crooked cut, here's a trick that you can do. Make your stairs a little bit more blocky to start. So when you're drawing out your stair pattern on the sides, make that stair pattern a little bit bigger and blockier. That way, if you cut a crooked line, you can shave some off of it very carefully, even it out, and it's not like you're going to have a thin little tiny step left once you shave it off because you've given yourself enough a margin for like room for error basically. So that might help you if you find that you're creating your stairs kind of crooked, um or you just can't get them quite right. You can always cut out the initial stair pattern and then go back and clean it up a little bit and straighten it up. Let's see. Bright Opal says if you put clear varnish or I think you meant to say Mod Podge, on top of plaster of Paris, with that protected. Um, I've never used the clear varnish before, so that I'm not sure about. But the Mod Podge definitely would help seal it. Um, and depending on the size of your project for that, you might have to buy quite a bit of it because you would want to use a good amount of Mod Podge if you're using it as a sealer to protect over it. But so far as the clear varnish, I'm not sure about that. I do use a top coat on mine to just seal the paint. Um, but I'm not sure about the varnish. I'd have to try that and let you guys know. I know there's a lot of clear finishes that you can also add that I haven't played with yet that I would love to play with. So maybe one of these days I'll have to get some and check that out and do a tutorial on it. But if you try it before me, let me know. Let's see. So Angela says, have you ever thought about using paper mache over foam? No. I mean, I've thought about it, but I've just never done it. I I like the plaster better. It sets up really fast. The plaster strips, and it's not as messy. Plastering is a messy process, period. But I just remember paper mache as a child, and it was always so goopy and so messy. And the plaster is a little bit of a neater process and it sets up really quick. That's why I like it. You don't have to wait a long time to add another layer of either strips to it or like the plaster of Paris. So um, that's why I do prefer the strips over the paper mache. But you can still use paper mache if you want to go old school and get your like flour and make your paste and get some newspaper. That's definitely a good option still. Monica says, gotta run into town, but thank you so much for putting this together. I will come back and watch it when I get back home. Bye, Monica. Enjoy the rest of your day. Twinkie G says, I'm a beginner this year, and so far I have found out that it's best to use pieces that plug up instead of using batteries. Yes, absolutely. I joke about this all the time in a lot of my videos prior, but I did a video where I really gave you guys some tips in my Christmas Village quick tip videos about how I was always climbing under the tables to get stuff plugged in before I got my remotes and stuff like that. And the first year that I completely had my entire village running off of electricity and no more batteries, oh my gosh, it changed my world because I had so many pieces that needed batteries. And then there were so many pieces that I didn't even know that I could buy the AC adapters for at the time to plug in to make them run off of electricity instead of batteries. So that's one of the reasons why I really love Lemax, because when you're working with stuff like this, let me show you. I have something right here actually. These little guys, this is mechanical. These people like spin around the Christmas tree. And this comes when you purchase this piece with the battery pack. But this little hole back here, right there, you can plug an AC adapter into, and then you can have it run off of electricity and have it operated that way instead. And it just saves you from when you turn on your village and you're setting it up. I literally hit my remotes, boom, boom, and I'm done to turn on the whole village. The other way before, it would take me like 10 minutes to get under tables and turn on all my battery operated stuff, plug everything in, hit the little power switch on the surge protectors. And it was just a lot of unnecessary work. And when people come over your house for the holidays, if you don't have the village on, everybody always wants you to turn it on. They want to see it in action. So then it's like, okay, hold on. Let me climb under this table. Let me turn on all this battery stuff. So it's definitely, if you can make your whole village run off of electricity, it will change your life with turning everything on and off. It will simplify your life. Let me say that. Michelle Robinson says, how do you take a house that does not have snow on it and make it look like a snowstorm on it? Woodland Scenics has a product that is called, I can't remember the name of what it's called, but they have a product that you can make snow caps. I think that might actually be what it's called. It's to literally make snow caps and icicles, but it comes like in a jar, kind of like Mod Podge does. It kind of has that same look to the bottle. And you can use that and put a good amount on a thick brush and just roll it on. Like you take your brush and do this. If this is the brush part, you dip it in, put a lot on there, and then you put it against the object and go like this and just roll it. And it'll look like heaps of snow. And then what you can do is, it's a white product and it will dry white to look like snow, but you can also add some, Woodland Scenics also makes a product called Fine Snow. If you wait one moment, I have it right here actually. I think I have it right here. Here it is. I just happen to have my bin right here. So this is their soft flake snow. And you can put this, it's very fine. Let me see if I can pour some of this into my hand so you guys can see. Can you see that? How fine it is? So this If you put this on top of that snow cap as it's setting and drying, it'll give it that kind of like fuzzy snow look. So it makes the snow look more realistic. And you can do that all over the house in the areas where you want it to be. Okay, Varouche says, I'll send you the info. I believe it's next Saturday. Oh my gosh, it's next Saturday already? I'm not going to be ready. I have the people from Department 56 there that oversees it. It's kind of crazy. I would love to go and check it out for sure. I am not at all going to be ready by next Saturday though. Like I've got weeks to go on this village. This build is taking me forever. I am building everything new for this village this year. So it's taken me a long time to get set up and get all put together. Let's see, where did I leave off? Michelle says, do you use glue and paint it or plaster and paint it? A friend is wondering. Oh, was that just a piggyback off of the question regarding the snow for the house? I wouldn't I wouldn't plaster it to make it look like snow. I don't think that's the more realistic way. I would definitely go with the snow cap product from Woodland Scenics and then put the fine snow over it. It will make it look way more realistic. Clara says, thank you. You're welcome. Kim says, oh my gosh, I can't believe I actually caught you live. I just discovered your YouTube channel about a week and a half ago and have been binge watching it. So many great tips and thank you so much. You are so very welcome. I'm glad you got to catch me live too. Angela says, I love the sets Costco puts out every year and they are battery operated. So I just took my drill and used a hole cutter in the back and added my regular lights. Okay. You know, someone on the last village video actually gave tips on how to wire your buildings in different pieces if they don't already have like the Lemax, how they always set up their pieces and their accessories for an AC adapter. Someone did give information on that on I believe it was the very last live stream we did. If you are watching today, if you are here and you were the one who did that, if you could leave that information or email it to me and I'll send it out in the next video or something. Bright Opal says, I have to go, but continue watching later. I love your channel. Thank you so much for joining us today. And you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Kim says, what is the quickest and easiest way to get that swirly texture on the top styrofoam base? Would plaster of Paris do that, or would plaster of Paris do that? What type of texture are you going for? Are you wanting like swirly looking snow, or like for what purpose? What are you trying to get it to look like, I guess is my question, so that I can kind of better answer that. Varouche says, I'll be there. I'm not entering either. Oh, it's not one you already have set up. You do a quick setup there in front of them. And oh my God, I could totally do that. I could totally do that. Because I always come up with like ideas really quick that I could put something together. Maybe I should enter that. What is there a prize? Because I'm not taking time away from my village if there's not a prize. Mr. Mojo says, have you ever thought of setting up a Christmas tree farm point of sale, or maybe Santa's house with kids in line waiting for Santa? I actually considered doing that a couple of years ago with allowing people to come in and see the village display. COVID hit, and so that very quickly threw that idea out of the mix. Then, because I set my village up in front of my front window, which faces the front of my house, we thought about like opening up the windows and at least allowing people to like come up and walk the walk path and see the village and then just keep going on, because my walk path is kind of like in a circle out front. So we thought about doing that. But Didn't do that either. So I do want to do that though for the kids because the kids get a kick out of this. And I would love to share it with my neighbors and things like that. But just actually have to get around to spreading the word about it. So one of these days, maybe I will. Baruch says, I believe there's a prize. I'll email you the info. Okay, thank you. Love Disney Dog says, I just got home. So glad you're still on. Mr. Mojo says, I'm sorry, I meant as a part of your village. Oh, I see. No, because we actually don't do Santa in my house. We are believers in the Lord Jesus Christ. So we focus on a lot of Jesus in our house. So you'll see sometimes Jesus in my village, but we actually don't do Santa. So I'm not knocking it, to each their own. It's just for me in my house, we don't celebrate Christmas with Santa. We focus on Jesus. Virginia says, have you thought of doing a carnival? Virginia, I'm actually doing one this year. Max sent me this year a ton of carnival pieces. So I am very excited to put my first carnival together for my village. I have wanted a carnival since the second year that I started villaging when I first seen the pieces. And I never bought them because they are ridiculously expensive. And I thought one of these years I'm just going to pick up like one at a time, and then when I have enough, I'll do a carnival. But I was very fortunate to receive several pieces this year that I can actually put a carnival together. So I'm really, really, really excited about that. And I can't wait to show you guys what I come up with. It's still like the details of it still aren't ironed out in my head, but the overall setup is. So that'll be, I'm going to do my neighborhood first. And then I think I'll move on to my carnival. So that'll be the next order of my village. The next village video that I do with my setup will be my neighborhood. Um, Kim says, basically, I'm trying to get rid of the little pock marks without putting bunches of paint. What are pock marks? Um, or did you have like little chips or something like that in your building? She says, I'm going for just a swirl, thick texture swirl that I can set other features on top of and it won't play. Let me go back up to your original. Was this for the styrofoam? Let's see. What is the quickest and easiest way to establish the top of styrofoam basis? Ah, I think I see what you're saying. So you have like some holes in your styrofoam that you're trying to get rid of. Yeah, you can add plaster of Paris to that. Whatever you add on top of that, though, again, because it chips kind of easily, you just really want to be careful not to poke into that because then you're just going to have holes in that as well. Hmm. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I would use plaster of Paris for that. Excuse me. I don't know if that would be the most effective way. I think that might end up being more work for you long term. And then it would also kind of prevent you from like easily putting your trees and things like that into your styrofoam base. I would do a plaster strip before I would do plaster of Paris. If you are putting a plaster strip, it's super easy to apply over a flat, level surface. Get it wet, run your fingers over it, allow it to harden and cover up those holes. I would definitely do the strip before the plaster of Paris. It's more durable. Um it will stay a little bit flatter so you can still put things on top of it without it being a bumpy texture underneath, and you can still poke through it a lot easier to put different poles or trees or things like that. Mr. Mo just says, that's great. Too many people put all the focus on Santa and totally forget about the true reason for the season. Kudos. Michelle says, yes, same question. Same question that Kim just had, Michelle, about the holes in the styrofoam. Also, you guys, if you don't want holes in styrofoam to be seen, you guys should see my styrofoam at this point. It's so bumped and bruised and everything else. And I have holes from, I've used the same styrofoam sheets for 4 years now. So I have holes in places where I don't put buildings, but I just put tape over it, like masking tape, paint it white, and then drop snow over it when I have a hole that I'm trying to seal if I don't need that hole this year to put a cord through. So that's the fastest and easiest way that I use to go about covering up hole marks. But I never leave my styrofoam visible anywhere. So if you have your styrofoam visible where you just leave it exposed, I would go the plaster of Paris route. But if you cover it with something else anyway, just use some tape. Paint the tape and put a road over it or snow or something. But none of my styrofoam is actually visible ever in my villages. It all gets covered by some type of ground covering, road, or landscaping mat of some kind. Um, Michelle says, how would you do a Thanksgiving scene? Hmm, a Thanksgiving scene. I think I would probably go old school with like the Pilgrims and the Pioneers. And I would have it very mountainous and rugged. And so I would be making bases and that were mountain peaks and things like that. And I would definitely do a more like wooded scene. And so I would get villagers from figurines from that time period. There's a lot that you can buy that are from that time period where the ladies still have the really big dresses that go to the floor and up to the neck. And you guys have seen them, and the men in their top hats and things like that. I think that's what I would do for Thanksgiving. Twinkie G says, I know you've mentioned it in one of your other videos, but which train have you found to be the best that doesn't derail? Um, Let me answer that this way. I have an HO scale train that constantly derails. My train is not going up in my village this year. I didn't want to fuss with it. Plus, with the layout that I'm doing, it just wasn't going to work. But I do want to get a new train. I would rather have an O scale train for a few reasons. They're larger trains, which is more to scale with the size of the figurines, and they're a lot more sturdy. And so I find that my brother is really big into trains, and he has some antiques and newer ones, and the old scale ones typically just do a little bit better and they don't derail like my HO scale one does. Um, I'm not sure if the tracks make a difference because I have the tracks with the side pieces on them, but there are some tracks that are just the actual track that you kind of build your own and set around it, like with the dirt and gravel underneath it and things like that. Um, so there's those, and I don't know if a special type of track makes a difference because I haven't really explored the world of trains. But what I can say is I'm not satisfied with my HO scale size train. I do want a different train, and I want a better quality one that is going to not derail as often. So I don't know if I'll be doing that next year and investing in that, or if it'll maybe be the year after. But there, if you look up on YouTube, model railroading, Oh, there's one particular guy that I watched that is fantastic and is so knowledgeable. There's so many good resources on YouTube that can give you a lot better training information than me. And I would definitely say if you're going to invest in um, a new train, definitely look up some of those channels and do your homework on that before you purchase anything because there's a lot of good information on YouTube that'll help you with that. Clara Thomas says, I can't wait to see yours. I have a zoo and some carnival pieces. Do you have the zoo pieces from Lamax, Clara, the ones that actually move, that they retired, that you can't find anymore? I love those and wasn't able to find them anywhere except on eBay for like $500, and that just wasn't going to happen. Mr. Mojo says, it's easier to use white styrofoam, or could you use the green floral foam? Is there any difference in the two? Um, for what purpose? Do you mean for a base for your setup or to build with? Um, Maritza says, how are you? I have houses, worked with batteries. How can I charge to use the adapter? If your building is set up with like the little plug-in hole in the back, you can use an adapter for it. If it's not, you have to like see how you can modify it. I don't know how to do that, but there was a subscriber that was on last week that did. So I'm hoping he's on today and can provide us with that information. Patricia says, I have O scale train cars looking at getting a Bluetooth engine. I want a train that smokes and whistles. And there are some beautiful ones that do both. They are pricey, but one of these years, I'm going to add that to my village. Okay, so Mr. Mojo says to build with. I would, so there's all different types of foam that you can use. I wouldn't use the green foam that has like the floral that you use specifically for florals. That breaks down very easily. Not only that, a lot of glues actually will um, eat away at that particular type of foam. So you can't use a lot of different types of chemicals on it and products and things like that because it's just not made to withstand different chemical elements. But there is better foam than the white foam that you can get at Home Depot and Lowe's. And it's like the pink extruder foam. It comes in like pink and I think yellow. And I know that Lowe's has some in blue. It's super dense foam. And that type of foam is the best to carve things out of. So if you are putting a bunch of pieces together and then carving your actual rocks with like a sculpting tool, um, those make the best carved mountains, in my opinion. Um, but I definitely wouldn't use the green floral foam for a build. I would use the white as a minimum or the better grade foam than the poly poly white foam that you can get in the sheet. Like what's behind me here, this big piece of foam where you see the silver backing on it. That is actually the 4x8 sheets, how they come. So I would use that as a minimum and then go up with a higher grade level of foam from there. Okay, let's see. Rowley says, if a train is derailing, it usually means bad track. That has some alignment issues. Yes, and that is what I have found. But what I also found with mine, with the tracks that I have, when I join those pieces together, even if I'm joining it in like a perfect circle, some of the pieces just don't connect right anymore. And maybe I just need to invest in some new track. Um, but it seems to like always derail in the same spot and it gets so annoying. There's two spots. Then the other thing that I was wondering if you can answer this question is sometimes when I make my train on my whole layout, I only have the one connector box that is like feeding the signal through the whole track. And I was wondering if I got two of those that are feeding the electricity through the track, if that would end up making a difference. Because I noticed when it gets further away from that little like junction point, the train seems to slow down on its own a little bit and doesn't move as fast. It will keep going, but it does seem to slow down just a tad and then it'll pick back up again. So I was wondering if I need to modify that and maybe not have the distance so long with just that one plug-in where it's getting its power source from. Angela says, I have a Polar Express from Costco, which I got for a gift last Christmas, which it does not derail, but it is so big. Oh, hold on, your comment just moved. It is so big, I probably will not use it this year because of limited space. Yeah, those Polar Express trains are really, really cute. And trains do take up a lot of space on your layout because the way they have to curve, the amount of space that you need for in order for it to curve, you lose like the whole little chunk in that little corner there unless you intentionally plan something on that curve. Like if you build a tunnel on each corner where your train has to curve, that way you can use the top of that tunnel to still add a building or something like that so you're not losing square footage in your building because the larger you go in train size also just keep in mind especially even for um the gal who asked the for Twinkie G who asked the question before, the larger you go in your train size the more curvature you have to have for your turns, which will take up and eat up more space on your table. So you do want to take that into consideration as well. The HO scales are smaller trains, they have smaller tracks, they don't need as wide of a turn. And so they end up being nice, especially when you're working with limited space and you want to train. Um, but I tell you what, honest to God's truth, I bought that little $25 train set from Walmart for my kids' villages. And that train is the most dependable train. It does run off of batteries, but I do find that the batteries does last at least the full Christmas season. But that little train never derails. It always works. It works perfectly. And it's just a little cheap train with cheap tracks, but it works the best. It's the best train that I have in my house right now, at least anyway. Let's see. Patricia says, yes, they are. Lionel has a starter set for around $400, comes with engine, cars, and fast track. Michelle says, or Mr. Mojo says, okay, that's the blue insulation foam, and I guess that would make better sense. Thanks for the info. You're welcome. Michelle says, ladies at my doctor's office is wanting to do different scenes as they were wondering about Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. Oh, yes. Yes, that would be fantastic. Well, tell them I'm going to be doing an Easter one, so stay tuned. I am going to try to post that early for those of you who might also want to do an Easter setup. And there are several of you who said that you do already do Easter setups. So I will try to have my stuff done early just in case it can offer you any inspiration or new ideas or things like that. Ron says, is your garage open? I need more. That's hilarious. Nope. Foam is like gold in my house. I never give it away. Actually, the only person I give my foam to is my mama. I do use my foam for her builds and will make her stuff out of it, but nobody else gets my foam. Rowley says the connection between the pieces of rail aren't electrically solid. That's what causes slowdown and derailing. New track would help. All connections have to be clean and solid. Thank you so much for that. So maybe that's just what I'll invest in. No, I'm not going to invest in new tracks either because I do still want a new train. I'll just wait until I can actually buy a new train. So Marie says, I want to invest in a styrofoam carver and engraver, but they are expensive here in my country. Aw. Which one would you recommend I buy first? Marie, I have bought so many hot knives. I can't even begin to tell you. I, hands down, by not even having to think about it, Hot Wire Foam Factory. Their stuff lasts. They have really sturdy, like, knives, not just like the little blades that you can get from Amazon that bend and wiggle and don't cut through as quickly sometimes as we would like our hot knives to cut through. But they actually have large, thick blades that will like slice through foam like butter. And they also have thinner ones, but their tools get so hot. This is the difference. Their tools get so hot that even their thin little wire carves through like butter in their sculpting tool versus some of the blades that you get, they get hot but not as hot, so it takes a long time just to cut through like 3 inches of foam. So I would definitely recommend just investing in tools because what's going to happen is the other ones are going to break anyway. And then you could have just spent a little bit more money up front and got the better product and saved yourself some headache with having to wait for new tools to arrive, like me. I have bought at this point 3 different hot knives, and a few different that actually came in sets that I've had to replace, and I'm so over it. So from this point forward, the stuff that I have from Hot Wire Foam Factory is still awesome. And I'm just going to continue to buy their products because they're the ones that have worked the best for me, that actually do the job a lot faster and that last. And so I hope that helps. Virginia says, I love your villages and just heard you say you're not into Santa. I understand. Have you thought of doing a separate nativity? I would love to see how you would do one. Yes, Virginia, I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be doing a nativity scene for Easter this year. It won't be in this village, but I'm going to do an entirely different setup with an entirely different look than what you normally see me do with like the grays and things like that in my village. I'm doing browns and tans and creams in a whole different village display for this coming Easter and doing a resurrection scene. Let's see. Twinkie G says, that's too funny. That's actually the train that I bought this year just to try out. So thanks, Walmart. Awesome. I think you'll like it, especially for a starter train for you to add to your village when you're just getting started. It definitely works great. Michelle says Amazon has trains. They are pricey. They have sounds and steam. Yes. You guys also Google in your area train shows, model railroad train shows. Google that and you will see at the model railroading shows, they do offer sales and discounts to buy the products there. But not only that, they have display setups. So you can see how these different trains work. You can compare different types of trains, and then you can actually talk to an expert in that field who does this for a living that can guide you a lot better in products and different things like that. And not only that, there's tons of different vendors. So you can talk to everybody there and see if there is an overall consensus of who makes the best trains and what tracks are the best and what accessories should I buy and all of these questions that need to be answered, especially for those of us who are a little bit more inexperienced with that. So I would definitely recommend going to a train show. Stacy says, is this still live? Yes, Stacy, we are actually still live. Oh, Susan answered you already. It says yes. Love Disney Dog says, love the tip about using the fall picks as trees. I got some from Michael, 60% off. Awesome. Thanks for letting us know. They look awesome in my Halloween village. You are very welcome. I'm so thankful you were able to go out and get those and get them up because when I went that day, like I did that video that day when I got back from the store. I'm like, I have to tell everybody that Michael's is 60% off right now and go get these picks. Um, Aw, my honey got on. Hi, babe. He says Easter Village. Yes. Stacy says, yay. Janet says, Miriam, have you seen the Department 56 Jerusalem Village? Yes. I have to tell you a story about that. My mother has a collection and sets it up each Christmas. I think you would love it. Janet, there was a piece that I was trying to buy in an auction. That was a Department 56 piece that I wanted so bad. And I kept getting outbid. I was cooking dinner when the auction ended. And I usually have my little timer set so I can make a last minute bid. And I lost the bid in like the last minute because I was in the kitchen busy cooking dinner and lost the bid. So I was so bummed. But I have seen it. It is a beautiful set. And there was one particular piece that I really, really wanted. And so hopefully, because the piece that I wanted is retired and you can't buy it anymore unless someone is selling it like on eBay or some of the other auction sites. So if I see one again, I'll just have to hopefully be focused on my bids. Mr. Mojo says, I just bought a foam hot wire carver from Amazon for about 40 plus bucks shipping and has three different tips, which includes an engraver tip, which is great for carving little cuts for cord placement. Yes. Stacy says, have you heard of the rock paper? Yes. Does anyone know where to get it in the US? Yes. And you can thank Robin Wright for this because he actually sent me the info for the rock paper and he sent me the link to buy it. So I have it in my email. So email me and I will send you, remind me that it's for the rock paper, and I will send you that link that he sent to me where you can purchase that from. He already bought his actually. And if I can remember right, I think he said it was like $5 or $6 for the whole roll. So it wasn't very expensive at all. And for those of you who don't know what the rock paper is, it's paper that has the look of rock and you crumple it up. Like you literally ball this paper up and it gives the appearance of like a rocky mountain. And then you just put it up against foam or books or whatever else that you are using. And it looks like a mountain without the work. So it's an awesome product to have realistic looking mountains in your space if you're not crafty or if you're kind of scared to tiptoe into that space. It's a very great product to use if you still want a realistic looking mountain in your village. Twinkie G says, oh my goodness, I am so glad that I caught you live. Since I've been on, it's been packed with great tips. Thank you for everything. You're awesome. I'm so glad that it has, and you are very welcome. For those of you who are new villagers, I have 3 quick tip videos in my Christmas Village playlist. Those are very helpful. I recommend watching all 3 because all 3 videos have different tips in them. And it will teach you a lot about setup, um, different electrical options that you have, different lighting options that you have, and just give you some really good, like out of the box ideas on how to do things for your village. So I highly recommend watching those videos if you haven't done so already. Stacy says, I know someone in my area near Atlanta who has the Jerusalem set for sale. Can you call them and tell them not to sell it? Can you tell them to email me? Or can you give me their information and I can reach out to them? Oh my gosh. Will they ship it too? Is the other question. Because some people um, just try to sell locally because they don't want to deal with the shipping, especially with how shipping is right now in our country. Roly says, gotta go. Thank you for all the information and tips. You are very welcome. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Michelle says, my neighbor dumpster diving and keep all the foam for anyone who needs it. Michelle, list what city you're in. You guys, a great way to get free foam is furniture companies. They have tons of foam that come in with their furniture packages, and it's always in their back dumpsters. Better idea if you don't want to look like a criminal in the back of a store stealing styrofoam, just go ask them for it. A lot of people won't mind. They'll give you permission to go get whatever. They might even let you go in the very back door and pull the foam that they have there. And they have the best pieces of styrofoam because, first of all, their styrofoam is very dense because it has to protect gentle items a lot of the times. And they have big, thick pieces that you can actually carve into. That's really awesome. So if you're not too proud, go to furniture companies, go in the back, get that styrofoam, go talk to a manager, ask if you can get it, or ask if they have any in the back that you can have. A lot of the times they're willing to give it to you for free. It's a nuisance to them. It's just more stuff that they have to get rid of. So if you can take that off of their hands, a lot of the times they're happy to do it. So definitely try it out. Also, if you know any one of your friends and family who always has packages coming in or furniture and things like that, just put a call out to everybody and or especially your neighbors. Hey, I need styrofoam. Um, if you get any decent sized pieces of styrofoam, will you please save it for me and I'll come pick it up. Leave it out on the front porch. I'll come pick it up and then actually go get it. So they'll keep saving it for you. But I have a couple of people on styrofoam duty who always save styrofoam for me. One of my neighbors just drops it off at my house and leaves it in my courtyard. She's so awesome. So uh, bring other people into this and have them help you too. There's so many people who are always willing to help. Angela says that is a great price on rock paper. We'll be emailing you on that. Okay, sounds good. And Stacy, is the live recorded so I can go back and watch this again? Yes, it will be recorded, and you should be able to see the comments as well on the side. Stacy says, yes, I will send you her info. I started to buy it myself, but changed my mind. Hopefully she still has it. Oh, I hope she does still have it. I'll send that info to you today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And Susan says, can you put your email down in the comments? Of course. Gmail.com. There we go. It's in there. So you guys can also email me. I have seen a lot of your villages so far, and I have to say, you guys, I am so impressed with you. It does my heart so good when I open your emails and I see your builds and the things that you're creating. It just puts a smile on my face every time, and I am so very happy. I feel like a proud mom. So thank you guys for sharing your builds with me and keeping me abreast of even what you're doing in your villages because I love to see them. I love to see your ideas, your creativity. You guys inspire me too. When I see your stuff, I'm like, man, this is awesome. And it keeps my creative juices flowing to be able to keep creating content. So thank you for always taking the time to share your love and your passion and your ideas with me as well, because it's definitely mutual. We feed off of each other. So I really appreciate that. So it is 12 o'clock. So I am going to get off. We have been on for 2 hours and I have enjoyed every minute. But now I have to go spend some time with my family. So um, I didn't get any comments on the topics for next month's live stream. So for those of you who might have joined late, I did ask for topics that you guys might want to discuss, or if there's something that you want to see me build or create for November's live stream. Let me know in the comments of this video. After we end the live stream, you can still leave comments on this particular video. You can let me know what topics you want to talk about, discuss, and or if you want me to do a tutorial of some kind on the next live stream. So you can also email me that information as well. But it is easier if you send it to me in the comments. I do get those faster. So let me know. And I do these to try to help you guys with your villages and be able to be available to you to answer your questions. So I really want to hear from you with what you would like. Also, I will definitely try to get next month's live stream posted sooner than I did this month. This one was really late. I've had a crazy month. A lot has been going on. And so I was kind of late to getting that posted. But thank you guys all still for making it kind of last minute because I only posted it a few days before. And you all still joined. So that's fantastic. And thanks for coming along today. And I will see you next month. So let's see, he says Sylvia Elena. Yes, Sylvia Elena does do the rock paper. Sounds good. Love Disney dogs. And Stacy Brooks says, scale is so many different sizes. Can we please discuss that more next time? Yes, there are so many different sizes. There's O scale, HO scale, N scale, which is even tinier than HO scale. There's just so much. Thank you and stay blessed. Michelle says, Miriam, where did you get your nighttime background from? Michelle, I got that off Amazon. And the link to this particular one, even with the twinkling lights, is in the description box of my Christmas Village setup part 1. It's in that description box if you want to get this exact same one. So I am going to sign off. Thank you guys so much. I love you. I will see you next month. And God bless you all. And I'll see you soon. Bye.